Now here's a trailer reaction video for a very interesting situation. This is Enchanted Portals, and it's gotten a lot of attention for being a rip-off, some might say, a clone, others may say, of Cuphead. Now, when I first saw this trailer, I saw it booted up, I looked at it, I said, well, okay, it's got that 1930s art style. The people who made Cuphead do not own the rights to that art style. It's decades and decades old. And then the gameplay happened, and then I said, oh, there we are. That's why people are comparing it so strongly to Cuphead in some harsh terms. And here is where I'm conflicted. This is weird, because artistically, this takes so much work. This is a lot of effort. These are original character designs. That animation is exquisite. All to do a game that people are just going to say is a knockoff of Cuphead. Because it's not just the art style, it's the gameplay. They've just done Cuphead with original characters. And that is bizarre. Like, this is not artistically bankrupt. I was speaking to my art director, Justin, about this, because he was saying the same stuff. You know, he's played a lot of Zelda clones. So have I. A lot of games that you could call a clone are lazy. They're ugly. They're cobbled together quickly. They're rush jobs. But this is not quite a rip-off of Cuphead, because it's all original, but it also is a rip-off of Cuphead, because not only have they taken the same art style, but the same gameplay style as well. Why? A lot of people are calling it an unofficial Cuphead 2, but not in that way, where they're saying it's acceptable because it's an homage, or they're doing it for a game that's been out for ages and will never get a sequel. A lot of people said Bloodstained is a Castlevania sequel in all but name, but legendary Castlevania director Ego worked on Bloodstained, and Konami was doing bugger all with Castlevania. So Bloodstained had a real right to the Castlevania legacy there. Cuphead is not an old game that a publisher has the rights to and is doing nothing with. It's not really the right time for a spiritual successor to Cuphead, but by the same token, calling this a rip-off, just a straight-up rip-off or plagiarism, isn't quite fair, because again, the sheer amount of effort that's gone into this, it's not ripping off Cuphead in terms of property, in terms of intellectual property. These are original character designs that just happen to draw from the same 1930s inspiration. And yet, they've put out a trailer that completely riffs on Cuphead's gameplay. These big, beautifully animated bosses in a side-scrolling shooting format. Nobody can in good faith say that this was inspired independently of Cuphead. That this doesn't look and feel exactly like Cuphead, to the point where it would be impossible for the developers to plead ignorance and say, oh no, we came up with all this on our own. Clearly they didn't. Enchanted Portals does not infringe on any copyright or trademark as far as I can see. Again, to really emphasize this, it's original character design here. And the gameplay does not have any copyright on it, as far as I know. Any one of you could have a subsequent series of boss fights in this exact genre and style, but they have just made more Cuphead with a different IP. It's just, and you'll notice a lot of this video has been me saying, but something, 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 but something, 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 but something. It's just a circular thought process I'm having as I watch this. Well, it's original, but it's not original. But it is original, but it's not original. There is a brazenness to this that I almost respect. They had to know. And they've not really, I've looked around, they've not really said anything. They threw this trailer up almost 24 hours ago at the time of talking. And that's all they did. They just popped the trailer up. They've shown some images here and there, and we're already drawing comparisons to Cuphead just because of the 1930s art style. But when that trailer dropped, a lot of people had the same reaction I had, where it's like, okay, well, they've used the same style, but oh, now I see why everyone's calling it a Cuphead knockoff. Their Kickstarter is yet to go live. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with this criticism. They had to have known it was coming, and I'm honestly not entirely sure what to think about all this. I feel like they could have gotten away with one or the other. Either mimic the gameplay of Cuphead with a completely original art style, or mimic the art style of Cuphead and therefore the original, cartoons from the 30s, but do a completely different genre. They've done nobody, least of all themselves, any favours by going for a double whammy, by going for the same art style and the same gameplay style. However, their trailer is currently up to 500,000 views on Twitter alone. I am talking about it. If that's all they cared about, they got what they wanted. They've gotten more publicity than they probably would have gotten for their Kickstarter campaign, but not all publicity is good publicity. There's another but, there's another caveat. Will this actually pay off for them, or are they just drowning their reputation before they even have one? I honestly, I'm more amused than anything else at this. It's just bizarre. It took so much effort to do this, to create a game in this art style with that level of animation. It's more than a cheap knockoff. But is it a knockoff? Sort of. Yes? Huh? Beulah? What do you reckon, folks? It's often Ghost to just say, well, what do you reckon, YouTube viewers? Leave a comment below, engage with the topic. But I'm genuinely interested in opinions on this one, because it's weird. Anyway, that's a game. The fuck?